This is what happens when the fourth turning meets fifth generation warfare.
A commentator, international social media sensation, and former Navy intelligence veteran.
This is Human Events with your host, Jack Posobiec.
Christ is king.
This morning, Arizona Senator Mark Kelly defiant after the Pentagon announced it's investigating him for serious allegations of misconduct after he and 5 other Democratic lawmakers posted a video urging U.S. service members not to follow illegal orders.
I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Kelly, who flew 39 combat missions in Iraq before going on to become an astronaut, now threatened with a court-martial for saying this.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law or our Constitution.
The president furious at the lawmakers, labeling them traitors and accusing them of, quote, seditious behavior punishable by death.
The White House is supportive of the Department of War's investigation into Senator Mark Kelly, and I think what Senator Mark Kelly was actually trying to do was intimidate the 1.3 million active duty service members who are currently serving in our United States Armed Forces with that video that he and his Democrat colleagues put out. Senator Mark Kelly well knows the rules of the military and the respect that one must have for the chain of command, and that all lawful orders are presumed to be legal by our service members. You can't have a functioning military if there is disorder and chaos within the ranks. And
the Trump administration now vowing to appeal after a federal judge threw out the criminal case against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James. In twin rulings, the judge found prosecutor Lindsay Halligan was unlawfully appointed, writing, quote, all actions flowing from Ms. Halligan's defective appointment constitute unlawful exercise of executive power and must be set aside.
Overnight, an intense barrage of Russian missiles and drones raining down on the Ukrainian capital for more than 6 hours as negotiations intensify between the US, Russia and Ukraine. Officials are saying Russia targeted power stations. 2 residential buildings also hit. I don't know if you heard that. We're now getting intense Russian bombardments of the capital. At least 7 people killed, according to officials. The mayor saying 7 out of 10 of the capital's districts now suffering power disruptions.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard today's edition of Human Events Daily. We're here live, Phoenix, Arizona. Today is November 25th, 2025, Anno Domini. I wanted to just take a quick moment before we get into today's top story. I want to get into this Ukraine peace deal. Will the Russians agree? Will Ukraine agree? But I'm out here in Phoenix, and this is Charlie's old studio that I'm sitting in right now. This desk right here is Charlie's original desk where he launched the Charlie Kirk Show, and been in here many times. He's was gracious enough to allow me to use it to launch Human Events Daily. And I've had my family here. I've had, obviously, his family's been here. He and I have been here for debates and laughter and so many stories and so many things. And, it just really, really takes you back sometimes to realize that there's so much important in this world and there's so much going on that you do need to take a step back sometimes and realize that everything could change in the blink of an eye. And don't ever forget that. Just don't ever forget that we live in a real world, an actual world. And when we talk about cases of violence, that's why ending the Ukraine war is so important. And that's why this peace deal is so important. If President Trump and Secretary Driscoll, who's now been taking the lead on these negotiations, if they can get this done, it's so important because the Ukrainians and the Russians, they're going into their Christmas time as well. And for every single soldier lost on the battlefield, that's a family that's got a son that doesn't come home. That's a family that's got a dad that they're never going to see again. Just like Charlie's kids are never going to see their dad again. This is real stuff. And for people who want to play games with acts of violence, with acts of war, and say, oh, well, it's not really that big of a deal, and we'll just keep fighting, and Russia will keep having to throw more men into it. It's disgusting, actually, when I see people who want to continue this thing. And it's actually horrific, because why don't you go over there? And so many of them refuse to. Why don't you go over there and actually meet with the people who've got to live with missiles flying over their heads every day, who've got to dodge bullets just so they can get to the grocery store, who've got to deal with drone warfare all over the place, and who have to see their sons getting dragged to the front. You want that? Would you want that for your children? Because that's the reality of warfare. It's not some grandiose romantic scheme. It's people dying in disgusting and disfiguring ways. It's bodies that are blown apart so much that you can't actually put them back together to bring them home. Closed caskets every time. So that's what you want. That's what you're supporting if you support more war. That's what you're getting. And that's what we see. That's certainly what we see. And I'm not going to sit here and play some games like, oh, well, who started it? Look, there's a war and people are dying. Now, this deal, the Russians said they like the 28-point plan, the 19-point plan that came out as well, that the Ukrainians said they agreed to. I'm just going to say right now, I don't think the Russians are going to agree to this. I said that on War Room this morning. I'm going to continue. I do not think the Russians will go on board with this, because they do not want Ukraine in NATO at all. Not even an option, not even a possibility. No, they want full neutralization, neutral status for Ukraine, and they view it as an existential threat to Russia. Now, you can disagree, and you can say, I don't think you're right, all you want, but you've got to convince them of that. Ladies and gentlemen, the enemy always gets a vote. Be right back. Human Events Daily continues.